tone during his time in Tokyo. Have a listen.
Well, the tough talk just confirms what Mr. Abe really wanted from this trip, was an unbending attitude toward North Korea. Candidate Trump talked about speaking to the leaders of North Korea because that's a natural thing to do. Mr. Abe would certainly like to not have any kind of backroom deal from the United States with the DPRK. And certainly the rhetoric, at least today, seems to be no concessions and no negotiations, but we leave everything on the table.
But is North Korea likely to give up any of its nuclear weapons or come to the negotiation table?
That's probably not a possibility. They see nuclear weapons as guaranteeing their regime's security. The thought that they would give them up is basically a dream at this point. They've gotten so far along in the process, and so they've achieved so many of their goals that they would give up anything is basically it's something from dreamland.
How is it likely to be seen by other players in the region? Because there's been a lot of attempts to get China to do more, for example.
Well, the attempts to get China to do more are always useful because China has some kind of say in what happens in North Korea. Nevertheless, the Chinese interests in this case is the survival of that state, of the DPRK. It does not want a unified Korea. It certainly does not want a unified Korea that's allied with the United States. And so, in the short run, there seems to be no way to push China to do more, but at least trying, at least shows that you have some kind of flexibility in an otherwise incredibly inflexible position.
One of the other issues that was high on the agenda was trade, and that's something they don't necessarily meet eye to eye on.
Yes, that's true. Mr. Trump has something of a 1980s view of Japan and of the international economic order. He has a very realist view that it's a zero-sum game. And he wanted to come to Japan and, at least for his base, show that he's tough, that he's going to change the trade imbalance that exists between Japan and the United States, that he actually doesn't have the tools to do so, and certainly Mr. Abe doesn't really have the tools domestically to meet his demands, is something that, well, no one's going to tell him very loudly, but will whisper behind their backs between each other and say, well, that actually is not going to happen.
That was Japan analyst.